What if CROBAT was in Gen 1 OU? Now, I think almost everyone can agree with me that CROBAT probably should have belonged in Gen 1 OU. And I'm not sure why CROBAT, out of all Pokemon, is the one where you need friendship mechanics. Is it just supposed to be a twist on the whole ugly duckling, but instead of a duckling, it's a bat? I'm not sure, but it is still pretty cool. And for CROBAT, he definitely has a pretty big improvement over the original Golbat, I would say. The fact that this thing used to be fully evolved Pokemon is crazy. But you see here, like pretty much everything got a pretty good buff. Got like 10 more HP, got I think that's the same with defense and HP as well. Well, actually, it's the same with pretty much everything, except for a minor buff to special attack and defense, and a massive buff to your speed. Going from base 90 to 130 is huge, but I probably don't need to be the one to explain that to you. And unfortunately, I probably don't have to explain to you that a poison and flying type in Gen 1 OU with no stab moves or any interesting utility moves probably isn't going to be that good. Now granted, I'm still going to make CROBAT a playable Pokemon for Generation Jumbo Season 2. So if you really want to use CROBAT because you think he's cool, you can do that if you want. It's going to be up to you. And on the bright side though, with 130 speed, he does tie with Aerodactyl and Jolteon. So by all intents and purposes, he is the fastest thing in Gen 1 OU, and he has the best crit rate because Electrode is not real. And I wasn't being entirely truthful. He does have at least one interesting utility move, which I will show you guys in a little bit. As for its moves though, it's bad. Like, I wouldn't say Aerodactyl bad, but in a way it's kind of that level. What does CROBAT have? He has Double Edge, a move we'll talk about in a little bit. Rest, which honestly I just don't think it's worth it. I think you're not tanky enough to survive those turns, especially when you're weak to Rock, Psychic, Electric, Ice. Quick Attack is a priority move, but unlike, I would say, literally any other priority move, I think Quick Attack is very bad, especially since CROBAT is already the fastest thing in the format. You don't get Agility though, which really sucks, and it kind of means that you do kinda die to Paralysis, but you also die to, what's it called? Freezing, burn, sleep, quite literally everything. It's really sad. Bite is a normal type move, so it does absolutely nothing. Fly is banned. You have Confuse Ray, and I think sadly enough, Confuse Ray might be one of its better moves. Technically, Leech Life is a thing, but don't use it. It has Wing Attack, and I forget if Wing Attack is a thing in Gen 1. I think it is, but even if it is, I think ironically it is just not worth it. Because a Wing Attack, I would imagine with Stab, does about as much as Double Edge, but Double Edge just naturally does more damage. So that leaves the only kind of good moves that CROBAT has is Hyper Beam and Mega Drain. Hyper Beam should be self-explanatory. You're really fast, and with base 90 attack, if you get a crit with Hyper Beam, it's gonna do pretty good damage, but a lot of other things can also do that. So it is nothing to really write home about. But the sad thing is that Mega Drain is probably the best thing you can realistically use. Because with base 70 special attack, you have the same as Tauros. So you can use Mega Drain to do decent chip to like grass types, I think. Or not grass types, water types. And you can do legitimately good damage to Rhydon. Which I guess that's good. Beedrill can't really say the same. Not even sure if regular Golbat can say the same. Probably not. But even then, you're not going to win the matchup unless you get like crits or confusion luck. So that leaves Double Edge, or maybe Wing Attack, Hyper Beam, and then honestly, Confuse Ray might just be what you have to use here. It's garbage, and before anyone says anything, no, don't consider Wing Attack just for Executor. It is a Psychic type, and it's not even going to bother putting you to sleep. It's just going to kill you with Psychic. A crit isn't going to kill Executor either. And I guarantee you, if the Executor is low, and you can revenge kill it, Double Edge and Hyper Beam can already do the job. So just don't bother. And don't bother with it just to hit Gengar either, because Gengar has both Psychic and Thunderbolt. So again, it's just going to kill you anyways, so you might as well just use something that is just more reliable. Which, Confuse Ray, ironically, might just be that. It's really sad to say, but outspeeding everything means that you might get a free turn in, maybe even 2 free turns in, but what do you do afterwards? Nothing really. You don't have any good ways to really take advantage of it. You only have Rhydon exactly you can take advantage of, where you can confuse it, maybe you get it to hit itself, and then you can like crit with Mega Drains, but also, oh, I forgot, switching is a thing, so CROBAT can't do much there. But luckily it does have one unique trait that only really Golbat and CROBAT have in Gen 1, and that is Haze. A move that eliminates all stat changes. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm also pretty sure that Haze gets rid of status in Gen 1? I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure I remember hearing about that somewhere. I don't think it makes a big deal either way, and I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about that. But Haze is kind of interesting in Gen 1. You don't see it a lot, but that's because there's not really too many setup sweepers if you really think about it. There is Slowbro, who is a huge threat, but obviously regular Golbat is not going to take that on with Haze. So that usually just leaves Haze to be good against Sword Sand Sweepers, which are good in Gen 1. That's why so many Pokemon have a niche, but you're not going to see them all the time. In fact, I'm going to say you're only going to see them every once in a while. But ironically enough, Golbat, of all things, has a niche in Ubers, and that's because it can use Haze, and I think for Mewtwo's Mega Drain, or not Mega Drain, what the heck, I think I'm tired right now, Mewtwo's Amnesia. But FYI, if Mewtwo had Mega Drain, it would do so much better against the Rhydon matchup that it's already dominant in. Just FYI, just fun facts with Groundback, right? He's recording this at 12:13 in the morning. Now, will CROBAT be able to do better? Technically he would, because he just has better stats overall. So, maybe Mewtwo can get a roll on Psychic and you might survive. I didn't bother doing a replay for that, but let's just assume he can survive an unboosted Psychic just to make everyone happy. Also, with that speed, funny enough, it means that you can speed tie with Mewtwo. Even if the Mewtwo isn't paralyzed, there's still a chance you can go for Haze to get rid of the Amnesia boost. So if you want to risk of having a 5v6, just so that there's a 50% chance that you might lower Mewtwo special, good job! You can't see it, but IRL, I'm giving 2 thumbs up, and a very sarcastic smile on my face. Maybe one of the Alba face cam, but we'll have to see. I didn't bother making a lot of replays at all, Because I feel like you guys don't want to see CROBAT just getting completely manhandled by every single Gen 1 OU Pokemon in existence. So I just have 5 that show different things that I feel like represent CROBAT. We always kind of have the boy himself, Tauros. And you might get lucky, you might get confusion, maybe even 2, but you're pretty much a sitting duck the moment it, doesn't get confused. But one thing that I do think is pretty neat though is that CROBAT is only 3-hit KO'd by Tauros' Blizzard. Nothing that you feel comfortable with because of freeze and crits, but that was definitely more than I would have expected. And that does mean that technically, there's probably some cases where even without the confusion, you might win with a crit or 2. You're going to need to hit a crit Hyper Beam, which is, I mean, if you want to risk it, go ahead, but maybe use literally any other Pokemon. Because literally any other Pokemon that gets a crit on Tauros will probably do a better job killing it. We skipped Snorlax, so next we have Chansey, a Pokemon with low defense, and it can paralyze you, and Double Edge doesn't even do that much. So you only really have a critical Hyper Beam that Chansey would really care about, which probably isn't going to work out for you. Also, I forgot to say earlier, I said that CROBAT technically has better moves than Aerodactyl, which I would say Haze alone, and I guess Confusory alone, would make that true. But its attacking moves are almost identical, because you only have Double Edge and Hyper Beam as your main attacking moves, and then you have like one special move that is technically coverage. Aerodactyl has Fire Blast, and CROBAT has Mega Drain. But here's the thing. Fire Blast is good because it has a good burn chance, but since Aerodactyl is a rock type, I'm gonna say CROBAT with Mega Drain, despite being way lower in base power, it's just a better move for it. Because what does Aerodactyl beat with Fire Blast that doesn't normally beat? Like, don't bother commenting Executor because it's not true. Executor's gonna win. So, in reality, nothing really. The only thing it does is makes you pray that you're going to get a burn on the rock types. Meanwhile, with CROBAT's Mega Drain, like I said, it gives you your one kinda decent matchup against Rhydon. Just something quick I thought I'd just mention. Didn't make a replay for it, but I do think I have one with Rhydon, if I remember correctly. But first we're going to show Alakazam getting 2-shot by Hyper Beam. So, I guess technically, without a crit, you can maybe go for a Double Edge and then a Hyper Beam. But I'm not sure if you take enough recoil to where Psychic kills you. So in a worst case scenario, I think the thing you have to do is just go for Hyper Beam and pray for a crit. Because if you don't, the Alakazam is going to kill you. Now I think this is the Rhydon replay if I remember correctly. Probably should have waited to talk about the Aerodactyl thing here, but I don't think it matters too much. You can see there, Mega Drain 3-hit KOs, which is genuinely good damage, I would say, for Rhydon. And then a crit, I'm pretty sure brings Rhydon down to the 30%. But in most cases, you're not going to get that lucky. And to be honest, you're probably not going to have Confusory in the first place, because your real optimal moveset is probably Double Edge, Hyper Beam, Haze, or maybe you still have Confusory. Who knows? I don't know. When Generation Double Season 2 comes around, I'm not gonna use CROBAT. I'm gonna be too busy using like Haxorus or Goodra, or the bug types. Anything else is gonna be more interesting. I'm gonna be real with you guys. With the way I want to do it, where I want to have the weaker types, but I want all of them to still like be true to that. So I want the bug types to still do bug things, make it feel Gen 1. And I want like dragon types that are mostly good for the dragon typing and not their other typing. It seriously is going to be a challenge to make poison type just even remotely good, I think Sneasler is going to be amazing. But I think that's mainly going to be because I'm going to be giving it Dire Claw, and it's probably going to get banned. But after that, I just don't see anything, really. But I'll just show you a CROBAT's just gimmick with Haze. I thought I'd go with Pinsir because I think it's funny. And I think it's the only one that wouldn't just win the 1v1 anyways. Because let's be real, King War and Sandslash also kind of stomp. But yeah, this is the best that CROBAT can really do. It can just annoy a Pokemon that wants to set up. And that is it. So I don't bother making a tier list, because I don't think you guys would want to see that tier list. But I think this video, despite it being a shorter one, I think I did a pretty decent job going over CROBAT. Like his role, how he would do. Because like, he's not useless. Useless is definitely not the word I would use for him. But situational at best is probably more accurate. So if you want to use him, go ahead. There's probably worse things you can use. Like I even say maybe Magneton might be. Or actually no, Magneton's probably better. Even though it's more boring and has less of an identity. There's not much else I can really say. Let me know what you guys think about CROBAT. Not so much in Gen 1, because that would be depressing. You could just tell me if you think CROBAT's is cool in general. Because he is. I think later today, I'll most likely have a video talking about Generation Jumble Season 1 and 2 with the other two Generation Council members. So that should be fun. Be on the lookout for that. But until next time, this is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you.